The third lie that's propagated is this idea of love at first sight, right? That you see him across the room, right? And your eyes connect and there's sparkles and music begins to play and you levitate towards each other, That whole idea, love at first sight, and he's handsome and she's beautiful. But the lie is based on two false assumptions I want us to think about this morning. The first one is the physical is the only thing in love that matters. Now, I'm not going to deny that the physical is important. We all like to think someone is attractive. I've never met someone that sat down with me and said, Matt, here's my dream. I want to marry an ugly person. That's my goal in life. Right? We all have some attraction to our spouse. Now, I will say sometimes beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but that's a whole different story, right? But the physical is not the only thing in love that matters. Again, same old preacher. I love those old preacher stories. He was doing a wedding and the groom said, Preacher, how much do I owe you? He said, well, just pay me whatever you think she's worth. He raised up the veil. He looked at his bride. He said, Preacher, here's $100. Preacher took the money, said, thank you, looked at the bride, gave him 50 back. I'm just saying, just keep going. We're just going to keep going. So the physical is important, but here's the truth. Looks are temporary. Looks are temporary. I've been married 29 years. I know this is hard for you to imagine, but I don't look the same as I looked 29 years ago. I was about 20 pounds lighter, a whole lot more buff, no gray hair. That's who Becky married. I'm physically different than when we were first married. Your spouse's physical attributes will change over the years, but here's the deal. In so many ways, Becky's more beautiful than she's ever been. Because I love her more than I've ever loved her before. And if physical is the only thing that drew you together in the first place, there's already something missing in the relationship. And let me just say this, if you're single, if you're young, if you're dating, the worst foundation for any relationship is sex. Because sex is something that God created. It's like the cherry on top of a relationship. Right? You have physical intimacy after you have emotional and relational intimacy, and the foundation is laid in the right place, and then that's like the bonus on top. But what happens when we start the relationship and it's based on sex and attraction, what happens? Well, you get married, you think you're in love because you love the sex, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm married to this person now. I don't know this person. I don't have a relationship with this person. How many marriages either are rough and rocky in the beginning because the foundation was just sex in the first place, or it didn't even make it because there was no real relationship in the first place? The foundation has to be correct. The intimacy that is established is relational. It's not the physical. So we have to have things in the right perspective. The second false assumption is that love is a feeling. People say all the time, I don't love her or him anymore. I don't have feelings for them anymore. Here's a news flash for us. Love is not a feeling. Feelings don't produce love. Love produces feelings. There's a lot of times over 29 years that I don't feel in love, but I've chosen to be in love. I promise you, when Becky is folding clothes and it's like the 10th basket, she's not just feeling love all the time. Men, maybe sometimes when you're paying the bills and she spends money and all, you're not feeling love. But love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. Revelation chapter 2, verses 4 and 5, I think speaks to this. Now, the context is the church. It's not marriage, but I think the principles are the same. Listen to what Jesus says. He says, I had this against you, that you've abandoned or you've left the love that you had at first. Remember from where you've fallen, repent and do what you did at first. Now notice in this verse what it doesn't say. It doesn't say you lose your love. It says you consciously decide to abandon and leave your love. Love is a choice. Love is a commitment. Love is a decision. I'm committed to love Becky. I've decided to love Becky. It's not just love at first sight. I mean, I thought she was hot when I met her. Don't get me wrong. But it was everything underneath. It's that conscious decision that you're going to spend your marriage learning and choosing to love your spouse. I can't tell you, again, how many times I sit down with someone and they just say, I just don't love them anymore. It's a choice. You choose to love when you don't have the feelings you love anyway. When you don't have the feelings and you're like, I don't feel like I love them, then start to serve them. Start to respect them. Start to do loving things for them. It's amazing when we begin to do those things how the feelings come after we do the work. Love is a commitment. It's a choice. It's a decision. So it's not love at first sight.